I am Marlon and I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered who you're supposed to be? Well, in our lifetime, I'm pretty sure we've come across these questions and we came to a conclusion of who we are. But how do we know who we are? Now, the question we should be asking is, why do we even develop these quests to find ourselves or a purpose in the first place? Well, in today's society, it is absolutely necessary as human beings to communicate and have a sense of belonging, or else we would be in constant conflict within ourselves. But is that really the case? There are groups of people out there who believe in the concepts of no self and emptiness, which emphasizes on the non-attachment to identity and basically think that nothing is actually everything. They are the Buddhists, and they have long believed that having no self would actually help us reach nirvana, and non-attachment to things, actually attaching ourselves to things, would make us suffer. Now that is only one thing of many things that I will be talking about today. Today I will be presenting you about the key concepts in terms of Buddhism and how it would or wouldn't help me with my vocational path. I call this Walking with Buddha. Now we first must understand that Buddhism does not have a deity or god. People may think, oh, Buddha is the deity or the god or whoever that's taking care or looking after you and giving you direction, but that's not the case. For callings, unlike other religions, there's no external voice. In Buddhism, the voice or the calling comes from within. Now, I've already mentioned this in my introduction, the concept of no self. This no self, this particular concept is really hard to understand, but I will try my best to explain it to you. The concept of no self is similar to skepticism. Skepticism is to question whatever you already believe in, to find the basis of what you believe in, and this particular practice often leads to existential crisis. Buddhism tend to have that particular feel of leading you to existential crisis because you're deconstructing what you already believe in and basically thinking that you are nothing. You are not attaching yourself to anything because that's just how it is, the practice of Buddhism. We humans are so obsessed with self-definition. Whenever we're greeting someone or meeting someone for the first time, we always define ourselves of who we are and how we're supposed to be, and just the pre-concept of who we are. Now, for example, this usually consists of what your sign is, what your social role is, or your family role is. For example, I am a daughter, a sister, a college student, Pisces, you name it, like all of the particular definitions we give ourselves, like all of you who give definitions for yourselves. You may even tell yourself, oh, I am kind, or I am Christian. All these things it's just one part of who you define yourself to be. But these self-definitions are actually the outcome of self-protection. Humans create these things because they want to protect themselves of the feeling of existential crisis. Humans, as I've said before, are actually social beings and they want to have this sense of belonging. Without their sense of self, they feel like they just won't have any place in this world. Which is why they resort to self-protection, to basically to to avoid the conflict that's within ourselves. Now, Buddhisms don't think that way. They think that no self, the non-attachment to identity, the way of you being nothing but just the body that will disappear as suddenly as it appeared. This body is actually what am I even saying? No self basically leads to your true self. The idea of people thinking, Buddhists think that the idea of people thinking that without having any self-definition you will end up having existential crisis, but Buddhists don't think the same. They think that having no self at all is actually the pathway to your truest self, because the whole self-definition thing is the problem, the source of the problem. We think that without self-definition we're going to be, we're going to have these existential crises, but when you have these self-definitions, these self-definitions don't define you as perfectly, so you end up doubting who you are and in the end go to these existential crises. Of course, no self is a really hard concept to understand. Even I myself am still having trouble grasping whatever's in there, the truest meaning of no self. But I will try my best to explain what I've learned to you guys. Thank you for listening, Dr. Poe. This is basically the first few parts of my presentation. Thumbs up. Yay!